is going on, muln fans? I leave you for a couple of weeks, and this is what you let me come back to. So let's look at it. Let's look at the charts. Let's see what's going on. I'll give you my perspective, which is probably similar to what we've been talking about. I hope you guys are protecting yourself to the downside. I'm going to tell you a couple of things that I think you should really strongly consider. Although I am not a financial advisor, I can't give you financial advice. You got to do what you want to do. So let's look at the charts to begin with. I mean, just pulling a fib off of our high, basically down to what has been our low down here around 18 cents. We basically crashed through every single level, and we are back down here in where our original accumulation phase was, that was going on somewhere in between that, I don't know, 20 cents up to about 25 cents. So we're back down there. I'll tell you, we are still on the threshold list as far as I know. We've followed these in the past, and some of these pops could realistically be getting the stock off the threshold list. They could be buying them back just enough so that you don't get a high enough pop to really run and do anything with, and then continue to sell or short it off or whatever they want to do. So, I mean, we have that along with, where do we want to put a trend line? So as you guys know, the vote went through. Dilution is obviously a concern. He has like 2 point something billion shares, and I told you whenever there is dilution, it's going to get ugly, and they are going to have to raise money. So if you were trading this for a trade and protecting yourself to the downside, good job, nice job. If you were taking your risk off the table as we were working our way up, nice job. If you were listening to any of that commentary, if you weren't, you're hurting. There's nothing else I can say besides that. I don't like that line at all. Let's see. All right, so let's see if we form some sort of falling wedge. This will take time to play out. I mean, we're going out into a pretty extended amount of time. If this does want to truly play out, I mean, you're into first week of March, second week of March, and then see if the pain stops somewhere down here at 20 cents or at the low at 18. I don't know how long, but I do think that there is dilution coming into the markets, and I'll tell you why. I know Ortex, it's the best we have to work with, but maybe they're not reporting at all, but we are seeing a decrease in the amount of shorts. Again, whenever it gets down to these levels, it gets very risky, I would say, for somebody to short a company that has things moving forward, that is looking into production, hopefully has things in place to be able to do that. The only thing they need is money. And how do they get money? They get money through dilution. And what's dilution do? It drives your stock price down. It hurts its shareholders, and I mean, that's what you're seeing right now. So I do still have a position in muln. I told you I was taking a lot of the risk off the table, as we've been talking about it for a couple of months. What I would say at this point, 50-cent strike covered calls, if your average is below 50 cents and you don't mind possibly losing your shares at 50 cents, covered calls at 50 cents could make some money while you're sitting down here riding out the dilution, waiting for, whatever to happen, and just kind of go from there. If you don't like that avenue, then I understand. The other thing we talked about was, I know a lot of retail doesn't like the thought of loaning out your shares, but if you can get a pretty decent price for those again, and there's a demand for them. Right now there is not. Cost to borrow average is coming in at 18%, so not really the most effective. Right now the most effective would probably be selling those covered calls, seeing if you can collect some premium and be okay with losing your shares at 50 cents or wherever you choose to sell those covered calls at, because you probably have quite a heavy bag at this point if you were not protecting yourself to the downside. So right now you want to do whatever you can to continue to take some of that risk off the table, put some money into your pocket. Don't just watch it bleed, watch it get diluted on you, and 50 cents, it's been a struggle, and I think it will continue to be a struggle until we get a pretty solid news break. And I don't know what exactly that news break's going to be, whether we get some sort of production with Bollinger or Mullen itself. I don't know if IGO's going to really do it. It's going to be that's going to be decent news, but I don't know if it's going to be like the end-all be-all news as far as muln goes, because the price on those cars, again, is not going to really bring them in the money that they're going to be spending at this point, getting their factories in place, getting production, getting employees, all of that fun stuff. So if it does want to play out, you can see the estimated short interest has been decreasing just a little bit. Again, take it for what it is, but 11.84%, 173.7 million live short interest, saying it's still on the threshold list. Like I said, if we look at these charts, I do think they are slowly taking some of those shares or whatever to get off of the threshold list. I think they're doing what they need to do, but in the meantime, there is dilution coming in. I'm sure they're still shorting, and I'm sure they're still sending some of your orders to the dark pool to be able to get themselves off of this threshold list, which is why I always say don't put a whole lot of faith in kind of statistics like those. Just take it for what it is. Yes, it's fun to talk about, but we don't speculate on those type of things at this point. I'd be watching for, I guess, a double bottom down here at 18 cents and see if David still wants to continue to sell billions of shares down here, in Pennyland. I wish he wouldn't, but you never know. First place I would start to get excited again would be, I guess, somewhere at 23 cents with some strength, see it hold. Not on the 1 minute candle. You use a little bit longer time frame. It's going to retest, probably break out, retest, even if you want to play 5 minutes if you're scalping, but I would want to see that hold above 23 cents on at least a 5 minute close on the candle. And I would go much longer if you're looking to really be adding into your position or be watching the lows, and be quick to see what's going on there. Because if they do continue dilution, what does that mean? Well, it means we're obviously not going to hit our listing requirement, and eventually there will be a reverse split. I'm not a fan of reverse splits, and I think holding through reverse splits is very painful, and trying to average down after reverse splits is also very painful. So keep that in mind as well. If you see areas down here where we start getting some decent bounces, you can draw up your trend line. I would do something along, down here, follow your bottom trend line for the falling wedge, or if it wants to be a bull flag, maybe we could broaden this out a little bit. You're just going to have to keep an eye on it and see how it's moving in between this channel. Right now, I would say it's more of a falling wedge than a bull flag, but good news is both of those tend to eventually break to the upside. They don't have to, but it is something that we could be watching for. And then just be mindful of your channels, because if we have that dilution and you see it get back up into the top of our trading range up here around 25 cents, possibly there could be more of those shares that are being reintroduced into the market at that point, which is going to hinder you just a little bit. And then we have our 25 all the way up to 33 cents, which would be another area that I would be watching for a heavy dilution to really be coming back in. But if we're looking for some sort of golden pocket, it still doesn't get us out of our channel here. It would get us back around 31 cents at best. I'm not saying it can't do it. I'm not saying it won't do it, but 50 cents is a long way from here, and that's going to be our first strike. That's going to be our first gamma, and that's why I think at this point, if you are still holding and you're wondering how do I possibly make this up without just going to work all day and then coming home and throwing part of your paycheck into muln, hoping that something happens, and you're trying to DCA down, covered calls, you already got it in your account, and it's an easy way to access those funds. So Again, not financial advice. Do what you want to do, but it's good being back with you guys. Sorry I was gone for a little bit, but you knew the whole game plan, so I hope you guys had a good day in the markets. I mean, ultimately, if you're trading big blue chips or SPY with options, you're probably having fun. We got a lot of volatility going on, which is making it easy as long as you're not in a one frame mindset. Don't be a bear, don't be a bull. Just play what the market's giving you. Play your levels, play them up, play them down, trade it, stack those gains. All right, guys, I hope you had a good weekend. Let's make it a good week. I'll try to be a little bit more regular again. I will catch you in the next one. As always, stay golden, people, and may your accounts stay green.